Now, we could have some news coming up for the Zebec network that could send it flying. And so I want to discuss a little bit about it today. Also just going kind of over what the coin is, what the network is, what they're doing, all this type of stuff. Kind of a pro tip. This has been something this is the type of crypto project that I'm actually really interested in. And I think it actually could have massive ramifications, of course, if they can deliver on what they're talking about. So I want to talk a little bit about that today and also discuss some of the recent price action, because we have seen some very positive recent price action, but we're also seeing a little bit of a retrace right now. So right now is the exact time at which I would potentially be looking to start a position into it. So we'll go on ahead, we'll take a look at kind of the project, the coin, the price action, all that type of good stuff, and then we'll go from there. The thing I want to start out with first is something that we're seeing right now with Bitcoin season. We've essentially started straight in, and we're in Bitcoin season, meaning that alts are doing quite terribly. Now, if we go on and we move quickly over to the Zebec coin chart, like the price chart, we can see the price has done absolutely wonderful in a very Bitcoin heavy period of time. Now, this is something, in my opinion, that is always a really good sign, because of the fact that it's actually done such a great job actually like holding up really strong price performance in an otherwise period of time where like it's not usually the best for alts. So this, in my opinion, indicates that we're seeing a massive overperformance kind of over the rest of the alts in a period in which it shouldn't be. So this could be really good for the longer term when we actually do start to see some motion from alts. So anyway, we'll go ahead and take a look at the chart real quick. We can see kind of two major points of both support and resistance here. We're seeing a decent level of support here, kind of at this like 0.004 range. We've kind of wicked below it a couple of times. We are actually sitting like right on it right now. So this is something that, we'll have to kind of see if we can hold that level of support or not. Obviously, we've seen a really strong move to the upside over the past kind of month or so. So things obviously looking really nice there. We have to see, essentially, I think there's kind of two ways that this could go. The first way is we end up actually stopping here and continuing our way back up, or we potentially break through this level of support, since it isn't actually that like strong of a level of support, and we potentially make it all the way back down to this level at this like 0.021. Now again, this would be about a 50% drop from where we sit currently, but as we can see, this has been a very strong level of resistance in the past, so we would expect this to be a pretty decent level of support if we were to get back down to this level. Now, of course, this is a very large move to make, so there's no guarantees that we'll actually get there, but we could see something like that potentially happening. So this is going to be something that I'm actually going to be watching very closely. As I mentioned towards the beginning of the video, this is the perfect time at which I would be looking to potentially start a DCA, because we are sitting on a level of support here. Now, of course, there is always the chance that we could see this come down further, but that's just kind of how it goes. You never really know for sure when the bottom will be in, and so that's why I do try to do more of the DCA strategy. So maybe start with a position that I'm kind of acceptable with, and then maybe get a little bit more, and then maybe this kind of becomes the level at which I'd be pretty pleased with the position. And if it continues to go down, let's say we get back down to this range, then it's like, okay, this is going to be the position in which I'd be quite happy with. So that's generally how I like to do this type of thing. If you are interested in acquiring or trading Zebec, they do have it on BloFin. I have actually been working with BloFin for the past couple weeks now. They've got a really nice deposit offer. So if you are interested in both trading Zebec as well as getting some free money, BloFin would be a great place to do that. They are doing a 15% deposit match on first-time deposits. So it's a really good deal. If you are interested, just check out the link in the description below. It is an affiliate link, so it obviously doesn't affect you in any way. It's just a way for them to track if I've been performing well for them, essentially. So if you are interested, just check that link in the description below. And moving along, I wanted to spend a little bit more time talking about kind of the tokenomics, things like that. Now that we've kind of gone over a brief overview of price and things like that, I want to discuss kind of what it is, how some of the tokenomics, some of the kind of features like that. So what we can see right now is we've got about 80% of the supply circulating, which I think is acceptable. Obviously there will be some level of dilution there, but I think that's okay. What we can see obviously is a really ridiculous run to the upside, even just kind of starting back in like mid to late April. We've seen it kind of hit its peak of about $550 million in market cap, coming back down now to about 320 million. So still a relatively small network. We can see the number 232 ranked coin. Now, what Zebec network does is it essentially is like a payroll payment system. Now, we'll go into more specifically all the various things that they do, but think about kind of payments between people. Now, there's a lot of different types of crypto coins that do this. Now, we have obviously up at this point, we've got the Pi network. Talked about Pi. Pi has been a pretty good mainstay on this channel. Here at about 4.7 billion. We also have some larger ones like Toncoin. This is the Telegram coin at about 8 billion. So again, this is another decent one. And then we could see ones even higher up, maybe getting a little bit crazier here, but like Tron. I mean, Tron is basically like the USDT network, and that's at 27 billion. And then if we go even further up, obviously we have stable coins here at, hundreds of billions and tens of billions. But then we have things like XRP. XRP is one, not necessarily kind of person to person, but more kind of like institution to institution is kind of the main play with XRP, but it being up here at about 136 billion. So hopefully in comparison, you can see that a $300 million market cap is quite small. So this is something that I have found kind of particularly interesting just because of the fact that like, this is something that has major upside. Obviously there is the appropriate amount of risk associated with it in the sense that it's a very, very small crypto project and it does carry risk and you do need to be aware of that. Obviously, nothing I say is financial advice. This is just my opinion. I personally look at these projects. I do read all of the comments that you guys leave me. This is actually pretty widely recommended from a lot of people in my comment section. And so I started doing some research, started essentially learning more about it. And now here I am making a video because I'm personally interested in it and I'm considering opening a position. That has, of course, should have no bearing on, what you do with your own money. You need to do your own research. You need to make your own decisions, things like that. But overall, I think we've seen some really, really interesting things, at least so far with how the kind of coin is shaking up. So we're seeing a nice little retest of some previous highs, or I guess some previous supports here. We'll have to see how that continues along. So from like an entry perspective, I think it's looking pretty good. From a market cap perspective, I think it's looking pretty good. From a tokenomics perspective, it's looking decent. Overall, things looking pretty good overall so far. And so now let's get into what it actually does. So here we can see this is the main page. It's a decentralized infrastructure network for seamless flows of real world value. A lot of fancy corporatized words for basically they want you to send payments with each other. So there's a couple different products that they have. Here you can see they have Zebec cards. So they've got the Zebec Silver. This is non-reloadable, but you can spend in USD, Euro, and GBP up to $1,000 per day. Again, non-reloadable, so maybe not the best if you're looking for more of like a debit card type situation. The Zebec Carbon is reloadable and there's no transaction fees. So this is something that it seems like it'd be more of like a debit card type of situation, which would be interesting. Obviously, there's more and more people trying this type of thing. Crypto.com has their own card. I think MetaMask has come out with their own card. Like payment solutions are like the next gold rush, right? And so this is something that I think, they're kind of jumping on because they want to be a payments provider anyway. But this isn't like the core of their app, right? The core of their app is essentially like you can see you can actually launch the app and trade between people, but there's other products here as well. So RWA Payments is another one. This is essentially kind of their like flagship product. And it's essentially like payroll. It's real-time payroll, get paid by the second. So obviously, if any of you are familiar, there's kind of the W-2 model, which is you work 2 weeks and then you get paid for those 2 weeks. But you are essentially floating your employer 2 weeks of work, hoping that they actually pay you. Well, here, this is real-time payroll. So if you work 5 minutes, you get paid for 5 minutes. You work 7 minutes and 42 seconds, you get paid for 7 minutes and 42 seconds. So it's really cool that it's essentially real-time work. And there's actually been studies done in the past that they actually used to pay truckers by the mile, but they don't actually let you do that anymore because truckers were working themselves to the point of exhaustion, because that's how essentially incentivizing getting paid real time can be. So obviously there could be some, potential ethical or moral issues that come up around that, and maybe even some regulations that come around just because like from what we've seen with truckers. But I guess all this to say is even if you can't pay people by the second or, anything like that, having more of a real time turnaround in people's payments actually I think would be a really, really good thing. It'd be a good thing for the people that are actually working. It'd also be a good thing for the people who are actually hiring people as well, because it should leave them more incentivized, which I do think is a good thing just for everybody involved. Now, moving along, they have some other items as well. They've got some DePIN stuff. They're looking for kind of more of those point of sale type of terminals here. So that's, again, kind of helping them build out into the real world and build out more of like a a larger payments infrastructure, which I do think is pretty cool. And then they also have the Zebec vaults. The Zebec vaults are something that it's essentially kind of, it feels to me like they're escrow accounts. So you can see they've got like multi-sig wallets, which again, this is very standard for like large companies that want to have controls around their payment system. And then you also have, essentially underpin like smart vaults that are underpinned by smart contracts. So let's say you want to pay me, $15, but you want me to make a YouTube video for $15. Well, what we would do is, you would put the $15 into the smart contract vault. I would then make the YouTube video and say, hey, here's my YouTube video. You'd say, okay, cool. And then I would get paid the $15 and then post the YouTube video. But essentially you're essentially protected on the fact that you don't just send me $15 and then I never respond, because that obviously would be a problem. So having some of these kind of like escrow accounts, I think is pretty cool as well. So there's a lot of different things that they've got going on here. And then, that's kind of mostly what they have. And then of course they have their own coin. It does also look like they're going to be managing airdrops as well. So lots of really interesting things. If you are interested, feel free to check out their website. It's zebec.io. I also think they have zebecnetwork.io, but zebec.io is what is through CoinGecko. So anyway, I did want to talk a little bit about the some news that we're seeing as well. So first off, we can see here in a post actually from Zebec Network itself. You can see here they've got the gold check mark, got all their followers, all that type of good stuff. You can see here they're actually going to be doing a new TV campaign coming to major networks this summer. So you potentially, if you are a TV watcher, could be seeing Zebec coming onto your TV in your local area, which would be really, really cool. It's nice to see that they're putting some money behind some of the advertisements here and actually, starting to get their name out, because of course, in order to be useful, they need to have adoption. And so reaching, small business owners particularly, I think will be kind of the main play here. Now, of course, in more maybe hype inducing news, we can also see that there's some news that potentially there could be a listing on Coinbase. I think a lot of this right now is just speculation. I don't know that we have like a really good, clear idea of if this is happening and when this is happening and a lot of that type of stuff. But I do think that this is really good news, and it would, of course, be massive for the Zebec network if their coin gets listed on Coinbase. At this point, I think it's probably a matter of time, just given some of the things that we've been seeing, the stuff that they're building, a lot of that type of stuff. I think it's probably a matter of time. But again, this has always been something where it's like, if you're in before something gets listed on Coinbase, it's usually a pretty beneficial thing for you. So there's a lot of different things going on within kind of the Zebec network and what they're trying to build, what they're trying to do. I think it's got a lot of really interesting kind of real world use case and value, which is something that I'm always kind of biased and partial towards. So very happy to see that type of thing. I'm super interested in seeing how it goes. But overall, this is something that I'll definitely be adding to my watch list. And as I mentioned, potentially even opening up a little bit of a starter position here, depending on what we see in kind of this, near-term movement on the chart. So anyway, I'll keep you guys updated with what's going on. Hopefully you found the information in this video useful. If you did, a like and a subscribe really, really does help me out. Also, if you have any comments, questions, thoughts, feelings, anything like that, just drop those in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about the network. Let me know, if you're interested in it, if you want to hear more, all that type of good stuff. So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.